Okay, so 6.2 is the first of several times that we are going to be learning how to find our zeros this unit. So zeros of a quadratic are where they cross our x-axis. So another word for zeros is our x-intercepts. But we usually just call them zeros just because it's shorter. So we are finding where our quadratic equals 0. Because where our quadratic equals 0, it's where it's going to be along the x-axis. If you guys remember from yesterday, your quadratic is U-shaped. So it's either U-shaped like this or U-shaped like this. But either way, because it's shaped like a U, it's going to cross the x-axis in two different spots. So we will use the method that we are learning today, which is called the square root method, when the value of b is 0, and there are only two terms. Come grab a note sheet, please. Do you have your pass? Okay. It's fine. Just take notes with us. Okay. So we yesterday did ax squared plus bx plus c. Today, all of our things are just going to have the ax squared and the c. There's no b in the middle. So we are going to find the zeros or x-intercepts of each quadratic below using the square root method. And as we're working through these, we're going to show all of our work. We are going to start by replacing the f of x equals with a 0 equals. So anytime we are trying to solve something and find its zeros, we want to set it equal to 0. So our first step on these is going to be to cross out where it says f of x equals. And instead of being equal to f of x, we are going to set it equal to 0. And I put my equal 0 over on the right there. Because we like to solve equations with our x on the left and our 0 on the right anyway. Our second step is to isolate the x squared, which means to get the x squared by itself. So moving down here, to get x squared by itself, I need to get rid of the 3, and I need to get rid of this minus 75. So I'll start by getting rid of the minus 75 and adding 75 to both sides. I've got 3x squared on the left. And then 0 plus 75 is 75. Then, to get rid of that 3, I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Divide by 3, divide by 3. I'm going to get x squared equals 75 divided by 3 is 25. All right. Then, from here, we now have x squared, so we've isolated x squared equals 25. Our last step is to square root both sides of the equation. So how we get x by itself, how we get rid of that square, is square rooting. Squaring something and square rooting it are the exact opposite of each other. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides of my equation, and I am going to get x equals, what was the square root of 25? 5, and also negative 5. So we are going to have two answers because our u crosses our x-axis in two spots. So we're always going to have two answers. It's going to be the positive and the negative version. You don't have to write them both out. Instead, we can use what's called a plus or minus sign. You're going to put a plus sign and a minus sign, and then put your 5. So that means plus or minus 5, which means that our answer could be positive or negative 5. You could write x equals 5 and x equals negative 5, but it's way faster to do this plus or minus here. So those are our steps. We start by setting it equal to 0. We get x squared by itself. Take the square root of both sides. And then after that, we do plus or minus for our final answer. So of all of the things this unit, this is one of the quicker ones. If you can't wait, go now. Okay, we've got f of x equals negative 2x squared plus 98. First step on this one always is going to be to cross out that f of x equals and set it equal to 0. Make sure you don't cross off that negative, though. Okay, so we are going to start by getting rid of that plus 98 by subtracting 98 from both sides. So you have to do the opposite. So if it's positive, you subtract. So now I've got negative 2x squared on the left. On the right side of my equation, I have 0 minus 98, which is negative 98. Then from there, I have to divide by negative 2. I'm going to get x squared equals negative 98 divided by negative 2. And negative divided by negative is positive. And 98 divided by 2 is 49. Okay, from there, we're going to take the square root of both sides of our equation. So square root of x squared, square root of 49. What number times itself equals 49? 7. So our answer here is plus or minus 7. All right, any questions on the two problems that we've seen? Okay, I would like for you guys to give this next one an attempt on your own. So 5x squared minus 20, take about 30, 45 seconds. Try that one on your own, and then we'll check it together. And then we'll do the last one together. Yep. All right. So let's check this one together. First step, we should have set it equal to 0. What is the next thing that you guys did? Plus 20 on both sides. Awesome. And 0 plus 20 is 20. So now we have 5x squared equals 20. What is the next step that we did? Divide by 5. We get x squared equals, what is 20 divided by 5? 4. Okay, and then the last step will be the square roots. What numbers times themselves equals 4? 2 and -2. Don't forget that plus or minus. All right, the reason why I had you do that one by yourself and I saved this one is this one has a minor little detail that we need to notice. So I'm going to set it equal to 0. I'm going to subtract 169 from both sides. And then I have negative x squared equals negative 169. What number is in front of my x squared there? What type of 1? -1. So there's a 1 right there. So there's an imaginary -1. If it's negative x squared, it would be -1 x squared. So I'm going to divide both sides by -1. Good. Got x squared equals, and that negative divided by a negative just becomes positive. So it's positive 169 now. I'm sure some of us have already plugged it into our calculators. What's the square root of 169? Let me show you. It is, yes, it is 13, so it's plus or minus 13. Let me pull the calculator back up. Ooh. Why did I close out of it? Oh, I didn't. It's right here. So, Brooke, it is, you have to hit the second button up at the top left-hand corner. So the second button, and then the square rooted button is above the x squared button. And then you type in your number, 169. 169. There we go. I get 13. And then you have to remember on your own that it's plus or minus. Awesome. Any other questions?